I realize now that the ability to post a video every day is actually quite an impressive feat, because suddenly you get ill, hence the voice change immediately, and you can't really talk to a camera, but I'm going to push through anyway. I can never really do a video on the weekend because I'm always doing stuff. But one thing that me and my friends were talking about, which I think is interesting, and I think it's definitely a dynamic that a lot of men deal with mostly, is the comparison of ego to self-esteem. I've gone through a lot of my life living, relying on my ego, on having an inflated ego. This part of myself probably died about 3 or 4 years ago because it has to. I can't remember the philosopher that talks about it, about the death of one's ego. However, one thing I believe in our generation, or at least people my age, is we like to conflate ego and self-esteem. They're both completely different things, and they don't even have a correlation. They have nothing to do with each other. And I think that's something that we actually have a trouble talking about, because everyone says you have such a high ego. How do we deal with such an ego? It's like being egotistical is bad. Having a high self-esteem is very, very good. And a lot of men don't. And whether that be because just of social media, constant comparisons, like when you go online, you see people who are looking like 10 out of 10s with six packs and abs and all that stuff, and you think to yourself, how can I ever have a normal self-esteem when I just look like I go to the gym to look mid? It's like, well, no, you don't go to look mid, that's just realistic. But ego is more so deriving a sense of worth off something that's a bit finicky, that can kind of disintegrate, right? So for example, deriving a sense of worth from the car that you drive, or the watch that you're wearing, or just the way that you walk. How many people, at least I live in Australia, how many people have imaginary lat syndrome? So many. Trying to fill up a false sense of ego. Whereas self-esteem is how you truly internally feel about yourself. And I have a feeling in this world, we are having a harder time trying to get validation internally, and we are more so getting it externally. It's not our faults. I mean, you wake up, you watch YouTube, well, at least I do, you go on Instagram and you see people living a life which you think, okay, how can I get there? And also on your Instagram stories, your friends which you went to school with, you knew them, you went to primary school with them, and now they've gone and lived their own lives. Like, I was brought up in London, so all my friends' stories, they're all in London, and they only show the best parts of their lives. So I'm like, well, are they living up to, they're living really high standard lives, or are they just showing this one little bit every now and then? And I'm guilty of doing it myself. And I realized when I went to therapy for about 1.5 years that self-esteem is that person that you see in public that they're not doing something completely weird, but they're acting not like an NPC or not like and they don't care, and they just don't care. Or that person that will just talk to you. If you ever go to a cafe or you're walking along and a boomer will just start chatting to you, they do not care what you think. And they will actually have a good chat. They're not weird. They're not trying to do anything. They're just trying to have a discussion with you. It's because they have high self-esteem. They've got to an age, and I feel like self-esteem does grow as you get older, because you care less about what people think, because there's less time on this planet. And therefore it's like, well, why am I spending so much time worrying? And I've done that myself. I feel like a lot of people their entire 20s are spent worrying about what others think of them, and it's just getting worse and worse. Now, I can only speak on behalf of men. For some reason, I feel like women have it 10 times worse. I think the beauty standards of women is insane. By the way, I'm 6'5" and I'm a feminist. No, that funny meme. But I don't know. I mean, I can wake up in the morning, splash my face, put on my clothes, deodorant, done. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go to the club. I don't go to the club, but you know what I mean. Whereas girls like get ready. Actually, I was watching a TV show with with my missus the other day, and it was called Love Island, and it's actually an English show, and it's a reality TV show, and they have cameras in this place, and it's all really bright, by the way. I don't know how they can like walk around. That's why they're always wearing glasses. But all it is watching them, how they interact, men and women, and they're all conventionally attractive. Now, the irony is they're all incredibly fake. Like, there's so much Botox going on. There's so much filler, or whatever you want to call it. And when the men are getting ready for like the nighttime, they have the daytime and the nighttime. And whenever the men are getting ready for the nighttime, they're just having banter in their bedroom. They're lying on their beds, just chatting shit and whatever. And then everyone's like, okay, we're going to go out to nighttime now. And they just, boom, put on their button-up shirt and they're off. And then you span to the women's, and they're all in a makeup room doing their makeup and stuff. And they spend like an hour and 2 hours on this. And they love it. They enjoy it, actually. I think that's one thing that my girlfriend said, that she loves getting ready to go out. The talking to her friends, music, doing the hair and stuff. That's probably 90% of the enjoyment. But the fact remains that they're still getting ready to that extent. And I feel like, while us men, we say like, oh, we don't care. But how do we know? We're not used to the majority of women just living the lives that how we live them. Wake up, bit of deodorant, outside I go. We're not used to that. So how do we know? We're like, oh, we prefer a girl. How do we know though? We don't know. And also we have all of these other expectations, and women have it for us. There's no issue. Both men and women, it's just the world we live in. And we're both genders are epic mode, love them. But it's just an interesting observation. And I think I'm not even talking about self-esteem here. But I guess the double standards do affect the self-esteem, because I worked through my self-esteem and killed my ego and worked through my self-esteem through internal kind of habits. For example, a very important one is don't lie. Be honest as much as you can. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. But it's like, try your very best just to be honest with everyone, how you feel. It's like, it's not lying about, it's mostly about how you feel. When people can see transparency in you, they feel safer. Another thing that helps your self-esteem for men especially is, I guess, understanding that the whole physical attributes and stuff doesn't really mean that much. We put a lot of strain on ourselves to look the best we can. And I think what's funny is it's kind of like how we buy expensive cars and we want to be in fast, loud cars, and you hear all those Golf GTIs making all those noises and you're like, geez, what a dickhead. But, and then you find a friggin' Pagani Huayra doing it. It's just a different level of wealth. And then you realize that, like, low-key, low down, men do it because they want to get attention. They want to do, like, why else would you be loud as shit in a car? You want attention. Okay, yeah, I understand that maybe in Lexus LFA, I get it. That sounds phenomenal. And it is a bit for us, but there's some for other people. And it's kind of like guys who have the fancy car, I'll get all the girls. Like, girls don't give a fuck about your car. They would prefer a Suzuki Jimny. Legit. They would rather be in a Suzuki Jimny or a boxy ass a Kia Palisade or Hyundai Palisade or whatever the hell they are, right? They don't care. And that's ego. And we're gaslighting ourselves into believing that we are of a higher echelon whenever we're, stroking our ego. But self-esteem comes from deep within. And I think it takes a lot of psychotherapy, especially for men, or a very, very strong support group, especially for men. Because I didn't have a very high self-esteem until I started going into therapy. And that was psychotherapy, and that was EMDR, that was resource therapy. And I didn't have any trauma as I was growing up. I was brought up in a beautiful household, like the Fallout video game series of the nuclear family, right back in the 1960s, where they would have two parents and 2 kids and a dog. I was brought up in that, right? But still, had to go to therapy to really work on my self-esteem. albeit myself, you know, I had challenges in my life, like couldn't study to save my life. Could not study to save my life. Got A levels, got 3 C's. Meanwhile, my brother did international baccalaureate, got 45 out of 45. He's a genius, and I love him. He's sick. He's a lawyer. He goes to like France every fortnight. Just goes there and speaks French. Speaks French, Italian, Greek, Spanish. He's fucking awesome. But and so I guess maybe that comparison affected me. But going to therapy, you kind of go a bit deeper than that, because that is surface level. Oh, how well do you do reading this book and regurgitating it in an exam? It's kind of surface level. Let's be honest. You know, it's not 100%. And so really deep down is just understanding that humans, no matter who you are, we are valuable. You are valuable. Your opinion is valuable, right? It doesn't matter if it's right or not. The fact that you exist is valuable. And it sounds corny, but it's true. But one thing I've learned is no matter how many times I talk to friends who have self-esteem, areas in their life where they're having low self-esteem, while being a support system can help, I think for men, we have to go to therapy, because I've built friends up. I've said this and that and consistently, and whatever. We have our community groups and we're friends with each other and we try and build each other up. But it's like, no matter how much, if they don't go to therapy, it's like I can't tap into them. And I think that's just very normal. Like we really need to like break it down. But the topic today was self-esteem is not the same as your ego. I don't even know if I touched upon it. Regardless, that's this is me, and that's ours. Monday, 10th of February. I hope the one person that watches this has a good ass day, and I hope my voice comes back so I can actually do my job, because I'm in sales. Anyways, see you later.